Previously, I cleared up the weeds and rubbish from the compost areas and started to rebuild the compost bin. In this video, I'm continuing with that task. This hawthorn that's in the corner of the compost heap is a menace because A, it's all spiky, it drops its own berries into the compost, and the bindweed is autumn now, so it's dying back. But in the summer, it's all bindweed and it gets tangled up with the hawthorn, so you can't get it out. Then it flowers and drops seeds all over the place. It's a blooming menace. Now, it's on the corner of the compost heap, and part of it is bang on the border, but there's half of it that is actually on my side. So I'm going to cut that off, get shut of that, but I may not do it today. Actually, if I'm going to put the panels and things here, I might as well get that cut today, so I'll make a start on it. I'm only trimming a little bit off so that I can put in the plastic back border. When I get this sorted out, this will be a compost heap and a bed. This is where the green wheelie bin that was used as a water barrel was. This area over here is basically not doing much, and then there's the apple tree there. So this is being used as a sort of rubbish pile. There's another water barrel there. But really, this whole area, I mean, there's the bean bed along here. So I stand back so you can see what I'm talking about. So there's the compost bin, and this area here going through to the apple tree. It's an overgrown hedge and a hawthorn tree, which I certainly don't want, and I think if we can get the neighbours to agree to get rid of it, we'll cut it down. And I'll certainly trim this hedge down and cut it back. And then this area will be another compost heap like this one. I'll see. I'll have a word with the neighbours and decide, but I'll have to get some pallets first anyway, so that's the job possibly for next year. Right, the compost bin is done with pallets right up to the end over here. So it's a first size compost bin. Now what I'm going to do is close that off with another piece of pallet, but before I do that, that side has got all sorts growing in it. Lots of brambles and weeds and stuff, and also it's only a little wire fence, so it's difficult to put any more leaves than that, because that's the level of that one. So if I want to build it up to the level of the pallets, I need to put something there. And what I've got is some corrugated plastic. This is all second hand, coming off people's roofs, because obviously they've got cracks and bits missing and holes in them like that. So I'm going to use these to line this area so we can put a bit more compost in here. I don't want anything solid, I want something transparent, because eventually this will become a raised bed and I'll plant a crop in here, and once a year I'll go in, plant stuff. Obviously there will be some weeding, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The first year, you know, all these leaves and stuff have got to break down, and I'll put some green stuff on top of this and mix it up. And maybe next year, maybe the year after, this will be a nice bed. I'll probably not do anything with it next year and just pull weeds, and there will be plenty of weeds in here next year, so I'll do that. And in 2022 this should be a nice bed, and I'll probably put something like squashes or pumpkins or something in here. So I want them to get as much light as possible. Obviously when it comes to summer, all these brambles and stuff will you know, they've got all this bindweed growing up it, so there'll be that to deal with. So it's not going to be getting a lot of light, but it'll get some light if I put those bits of plastic in. So let's go and start with that job. There was a lot of fiddling as the brambles and hawthorn kept catching the plastic, so it had to be finessed into place. There's already a piece of metal there, and that is holding it in place. Obviously once we start adding stuff in, it will do a better job of holding it. That's going to do a good job of holding some of this stuff back, and I can raise the level of the compost and then raise the level of this bed. I've got some metal bars that will hold it in place as well. You can see it's wobbling about there, but I can fix that. And this bit where the edge is broken, obviously I'll overlap it with another piece and keep going like that. Right, I've overlapped those pieces, so where there was a crack, it's now this piece. Both pieces are held solid by this. I put one piece there, and I put another piece where this was this old fence post already there. I've put one in and I've put it through the wire, so that will hold it in place. And I might come and tie that in with a bit of wire or something later. That will be solid. Right, so that bit's done. What I've got to do now is this piece just needs to have a bit more trimming, and then I can put the last piece on. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's a compost bin at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be perfect. So that's all done from that end right across to that end. It's all done. The corner's a bit difficult because there's a lot of metal bars and stones and things here, so it's not quite perfect, but I couldn't get it to sort of reach to this end and fit that side, so it'll do. That little corner may have to put a piece of something there, but because that's all the hedge, it doesn't really matter. So the last job now is to fit the last piece in here, and then the compost bin is done. The end piece has got to be removable because obviously I want to be able to get into this bin, so that end I'm just going to put the pallet at the end and then use this tie wire to tie it to the metal posts that are already there, and then when I need to get in I can just untie it, get in, do what I want to do, and then put it back and tie it back. Okay, there was obviously the slope on this bit, so I put a brick on that side, and that side is on the ground, and it'll be alright. I mean, it's pretty stable, and I haven't tied it down yet. Right, I've cable tied it at that end to that metal bar, and at this end to this post. I have to put quite a lot of force on it to make it wobble, so it's quite steady. And that corner's not too bad, it's only just a little bit. Now I can't get back in and make small alterations, but yeah, it's good enough. I might put something in that corner, a piece of plastic or something. I'll find something suitable just to sort of cover that corner. Something that's got a corner, I'll think of something, I'll find something that'll do the job. So yeah, that compost bin is done. So that's a first size compost bin, it's done. Pleased with that. I've got this piece of metal that was just lying about in this bed, and it's just a lot tad taller than I'd like, but yeah, I think it'll do for now. So let's try it out for size. Yeah, that's fine. And there's a little gap between that and the that's because the privet's pushing it. I can fine tune that later unless I find something better, but yeah, that's that completed. So next job is to start with this and get this sorted out. As I'm clearing rubbish like this is all bits of tatty old carpet, but obviously you can see that putting carpet down does nothing to get rid of bindweed roots. They'll still sit there, wait till they get exposed, and then they'll start growing again. So carpet on top of bindweed roots definitely doesn't work. Goodness, this sort of rubbish I keep finding in here. God, this place is just absolutely stinking with bindweed. I really don't know what I'm going to do with this bed because it's just absolutely covered in it. Certainly not going to use it to grow anything this year because it's just like absolutely just lousy with bindweed. And you can't dig it out because obviously there's all the privet roots, and you know there's bindweed on the other side, so we're just wasting my time trying to dig it out. So I have to think about what to do with this bed. But there's a good 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 meters of usable bed, so I'll have to think about that. I'll chop and drop some of this privet on top and put some of the leaves on top of it, and then I'll leave it for the year. Might put some wood chips or something on top of it and leave it, and then keep putting the bindweed as it pops up. It's going to be, I mean, look at them, thickness of, absolutely, compared to my finger, they're about half the thickness of my finger. I've had another think about this bed because it's got these tall pieces all along it. I really don't want to use this as something that I use frequently, purely because these things are dangerous when you're bending over. I could try putting something on top just to cover them up, but still, it's rusty and it's got bits of bolts and things sticking out, so it's not really useful for that. So rather than try and grow something, because I know this is full of bindweed roots, I thought what I might do is actually turn this into a leaf mould bin, or another compost bin really. So extend it this way, because there's a hedge here, so whatever would get planted here would be in the shade anyway, so it's best not to have it as a bed, A, because of the shade, and B, because of these living great things. So it ends here, the last piece is there, and then there's this little bit here which is all sorts of rubbish. There was all sorts of rubbish here. I've cleared some, but I'll clear the rest. And it's a bit of a narrow gap, so I think I'm going to make this an extension of the compost bin. So I found a piece of wire, and there was a oven rack or something at some point, but it just fits that piece there. So if I find some pieces or use some of that corrugated plastic to make this into an extension of the compost bin. The only thing I've got to do is at this end I've got to leave myself a little bit of room so I can get in. This one's not going to be a problem. This one, because of the height of it, I need to be able to get in and sort this, so going to be a little bit of a gap here, so I'm going to try and sort that out first, because this one I can get in from this end. This is just loose. I mean, I'll tie it up, but that will be fine, and then I'll decide what to do with this end bit. But the metal ends here, the actual boards end there as well, so this little bit here, well, we'll decide later. So I've just noticed there is a little bit of a rebar, but it's a bit wobbly, so it could come out, or I could even extend it at a later date, trim this and have it go right to this edge. But for now, I'll be happy to cover this bit. Right, well, that looks okay. Obviously I've put a few bars in just temporarily, but it doesn't look too bad, so I'm pleased with that. And I can fiddle with these, and I've got just a little bit of space here between the two. I can just squeeze in, and you can see my foot going through it. So there's a good 25 centimeters, so it's a bit of a tight squeeze, but this will be something soft, so I'll be able to squeeze through here. But I won't be going in and out of these much anyway, so that's not a problem. What I've done is I've tied the plastic, and so it's sandwiched between two metal pieces. These were the original posts, and at the end I've put in the metal piece that's going to hold everything together, and the plastic is sandwiched between that. Here, that was the original, and this is a piece I've driven in, so the plastic is sandwiched between the two. Same here, put a steel rebar on that side of it there. That was already there, but it was shorter, so I'm not putting another piece on the other side. The problem is this end piece is not straight, as you can see. If you line it up, you can see that it's not straight. But fortunately, this has got holes in it, so what I'm going to do is just tie these up to that with some wire string, and that should be good. I mean, it's only got to hold a bit of leaf mould together, so it's not going to be that strong, and it leaves me a little bit to squeeze through. I just have to find something good to go at the end here. Okay, so these are tied in, so that's going to hold it close together. I'm just going to have a test to see that I can get my backside through here. It's a bit of a tight squeeze. I can get through. Only just. Put a piece in here. I'll try and look to see if I can find something a bit more suitable, so I'll sort that out another day, because I'm running out of time today. I've replaced that metal with a piece of chain link fence, so it's a bit better, and because it'll flex, I can get my backside through here if I need to. And what I'm going to do is, for the moment, use this for brambles. So what I've done is just temporarily put a load of chippings down because I don't want the brambles to touch the ground. Otherwise, if they touch soil, they could start rooting. So I'll cover it with a mulch of wood chips and cover it with that, and then I can put the brambles in here and they will dry, and Tony can use them in his wood burning stove, so they won't go to waste. We've got a good bit of leaves now, and what I'm going to spread them out and put some greens on top, some stuff from the greenhouse, old dying plants and things, to add some greenery to all this leaves. So what I'm going to do is just level it out along here. Okay, so that's the first set of leaves evenly, or fairly evenly spread through the bed. Now I'll find some green stuff to put on top of this before we add the next set of leaves. Okay, so I've put in a load of conifer clippings. There's a few bits of wood chips in it somewhere, but mostly it's stuff like this. So this will enrich this compost. So that's that. Now to clear out the greenhouse and put some of that stuff on top, and then it's cutting hedges time. Having cleared all the weeds and rubbish from here and gone in and filled the compost heaps and things, I've churned this up, and yesterday when it was damp it was a real muddy mess and all slippery. So I'm going to bring in a few barrel loads of wood chips and cover this up. And it's got stuff like stones lying about and things, but I'm just going to leave it. And like the edge of that bed is not square, so it's the sort of thing that I would trip over that. Don't know why they haven't made them square, but they haven't. So a good bit of wood chips will sort this bit out. It took 10 barrow loads of wood chips, but it's done the job. I've covered this so it's not slippy and muddy anymore. Now, it will compact down over the winter, so I'll top it up in the spring. I'll put a couple more wheelbarrows loads on top and top it off. But yeah, now this whole side, well, beyond the trays of pots, I've still got to sort out, but I need to get some more pallets before I can do that, and I need to talk to the neighbours about that hedge. But this side now looking a lot better than it did. That's all done. Well, it certainly looks better than it was. The rubbish at the bottom is cleared, the brambles and the weeds are gone, and the bays are rebuilt. When the bays are full, it'll be even better. When we cut the privet hedges, or trim them, you can see this bit's been done. Just collect them up, and they can be added to all the leaves, etc. And this will all rot down and compact down over the course of the winter, and we should end up with nice compost. Maybe not this spring, but by next year all of this will be nice compost that I can plant into. And the current thinking is I can get 5 butternut squash plants in here, and then that will be the permanent arrangement. In the spring I'll plant the butternut squash, they'll grow over the summer. In the autumn we harvest the squash and then top it off with leaves and privet cuttings, etc. over the winter. And in the spring I'll be able to plant squash back in there again. So it's going to be a permanent squash bed, and because it's raised, it's going to give them the drainage and loose soil and air that they need. So barring any problems, that's what we'll do. Because this bit, the fence is quite clear. Well, there will be brambles and things, but this area should get enough sunlight for the squash. This load of fresh green clippings has just arrived. It's quite a lot of conifer, but there's other stuff in there as well. So that will be useful to go on the compost bay. This looks like it's almost full, but when I put the clippings down, it compresses it down because it's just leaves, and it just compresses right down when you push it down. So the green clippings will mix with all these leaves, and not this summer but next year it'll be really good material to plant into. Well, that's the compost base sorted. Goodbye for now, and come back soon.